Good morning, everybody. Okay, so you should have a unit circle printed off by now, and if you don't, then stop the video and go print off a unit circle. And for goodness sakes, do not try to draw it on your notebook. If you really don't have a printer and you forgot to tell me that yesterday, then you can always go to the high school and get one and do the other part of this assignment first. But do not just draw this in your notebook. So I want you to have the paper so that the larger section that is empty is at the bottom and the smaller section that is empty is at the top. And this is a paper that we're going to have to take very good care of because I'm actually going to laminate it for you at the end of the unit when we're done with a few chapters, because there's going to be so much information on this, and then on the back side so much information as well, that you're going to want to keep it. So the first thing you need to do is across the top write your name and write that it's your unit circle. So make sure you do that first. Remember, everything you put on this unit circle needs to be really nicely done. Otherwise, you are going to very much regret it because this will be laminated, and you can trust a lot of my ex-students when I say that you will take this to college and you will use it in your college courses in math and you will appreciate it. So make sure that this looks nice. Okay, so for the very intro lesson on the unit circle today, we're going to talk about and this is all to do with trig, which we will get to eventually, but for right now, we're just going to start with the basics. So I want you to imagine that this is a grid, and that this point right here is 0, 0, and that this point over here is 1, 0. Okay? This point up here at the very tippy top is 0, 1. Over here is negative 1, 0. And down here is 0, negative 1. So imagine that this is like a graph, and you've got like your first quadrant where everything's positive, and then your second quadrant where the y's are positive, but the x's are negative. This one is where the x's and the y's are negative. That's the third quadrant. And then the fourth quadrant over here is where the x's are positive, but the y's are negative. So imagine that this point right here is 1, 0 on a graph. And this is 0, 1. This is negative 1, 0. And down here is 0, negative 1. So like what this should look like to you in your imagination is if you had like a normal looking graph like this with x's and y's. Okay, and over here was what? 1, 0, and up here is 0, 1, and over here is negative 1, 0. And then down here is 0, negative 1. So just real basic. And then there's like a circle that stretches between all of those. Okay, that's what this is. And we'll go through all the other points later. Right now, we're going to talk about the degrees of a circle. So a circle has 360 degrees in it. And in the unit circle, we're always going to start right here on this positive point right here. So we're going to say that this is 0 degrees. I'm going to put that right there. I know that I'm writing small, but you're going to need to write small on your paper too. So I didn't want to make it too difficult to read. All right, so 0 is there because we're going to be writing lots of stuff on it. Up here, this angle straight up is 90 degrees. Over here, this straight line angle over here is 180 degrees. Down here is adding another 90 degrees, which is 270. And then it goes back to 0. This is like a clock. All right, and then if I fill in the remainder ones instead, This one is 30 degrees right here. This one's 45. You should be doing this on your circle too. This one is 60 degrees. Over here I've got 120, 135, 150. Down here is 210, 225, and 240. And then over here I've got 300, 315, and 330. And that is going to be the very loose basis of our unit circle where we're going to start. So make sure that you have all of those filled out. I'm going to do a quick zoom in so that you guys can make sure to see that yours matches mine. Make sure that this is accurate and looks good. There's that first quadrant, 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. 1, 0. Here's 0, 1. Second quadrant, 90, 120, 135, 150, 180, with negative 1, 0 over there. Third quadrant, 180, 210, 225, 240, 270, and then down here is 0, negative 1. And then finally the fourth quadrant, which is 300, 315, and 330. Okay, so make sure that you have those all done. If you need to go back in the video and pause it so you can make sure that you're getting that accurate, go ahead. Today's lesson actually is very simple. We did the very beginnings, the very beginnings of the unit circle. We'll be working on that more tomorrow. And now we're going to do a couple quick talks about angles and degrees, and that shouldn't be too difficult for you, and your homework should go really fast. So here we go. Come on. About there probably. Okay, so we are skipping to chapter 5. We're going to go back to chapter 2 and 4 eventually at the end of the year for logarithms and some graphing and stuff like that, just to make sure that you're ready for that stuff when you go to college. But for right now, I wanted to get into the trig. So we're starting on chapter 5. Today is 11/4, day after the election. Ooh. Okay. So, I think first of all, we should probably talk about what a complementary angle is and a supplementary angle is. Hopefully you remember this. Okay, so complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. They make a 90-degree angle. And supplementary angles add up to 180. So one type of problem that you will see in your homework today looks like this. Maybe it'll say that you've got two angles that are complementary angles and that they are as follows. So since they're complementary, they add up to 90 degrees, and then maybe they look like this. This is a very basic example. And then they'll say solve for x, which is pretty simple. So you're just going to say, well, that means 3x plus 6x equals 90 degrees. And since this is 9x, x is 10 degrees each. So that is not too tough. It might say find the angles, or it might say find x. If you find x, you found 10. And if they ask for the angles, then you would say one angle was 60 degrees and one angle was 30 degrees. That'd be if you plug them back in. All right, example 2 is talking about something with degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so I'm sure you guys all know that there's 360 degrees in a circle. I'm sure you know that on a clock there are 60 minutes, and each minute has 60 seconds in it. So one circle has 360 degrees. But it also has, each degree has minutes, so it has 60 minutes. Not each degree. We've got 60 minutes in it, and then we've got, in every degree, that's correct. And then after every cycle, we've got 60 minutes, and then we've also got 3,600 seconds. Which makes sense because it's like 60 of them are in each minute, so that is 3,600, yeah. So